All right, Blade Runner 2049, the sequel to Ridley Scott's 1982 film Blade Runner. Now, how long have I been saying that this is the film of the year? How long?
You called it pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, first trailer. I mean, just from the director that they got to continue the world of Blade Runner, Denis Villeneuve is establishing himself as one of the best directors, not just working today, but of the 21st century. And I think it's a privilege to be living now to see him in his prime. We have all these great directors that are kind of past their prime. It's cool to see guys like Nolan, Villeneuve, Fincher. I mean, what can you say about this movie? He did a fantastic job.
Well, I think you were dead on. I mean, so far at least, it's the best movie of the year. Everything about it, I was trying to think of it on the way home, like, what's one negative I could find from this movie? And I really couldn't find it. Everything from the acting to cinematography, it was just spectacular. And I'm new to, like, the Blade Runner universe. I didn't see the original until recently, and I gotta say, it's one of these, like, series I can watch both of them over and over again for...
There's so much to go back to. I mean, just leading up to Blade Runner 2049, I watched the original about 4 times. I watched it 3 times on its own and 1 time with the commentary by Ridley Scott. It's a very heavy film. It's a slow-paced film, and 2049 is like that as well. It's actually, they extend the runtime by 45 minutes, and I think that would be my one criticism. Not that it's too long, but that it's not long enough. I wanted 4 hours. Give me 4, give me 5 hours.
Honestly, like, when it ended, I was kind of like, it didn't feel long to me.
No, me neither, yeah.
It's
it blew by.
Yeah, it really did.
Every time they revealed something new about where the story was going, I just became more excited. Because my mind was racing with every new reveal and twist.
And that's so rare for, like, because it really is a dialogue-driven movie or a visual more than just action. You know, Blade Runner, you feel like they're hunting the replicants.
It's less of a story and more of an experience.
Yeah,
it's
if you're not familiar, you would think it's just like some action movie. There really was no action in this entire movie. And when you can have a movie more dialogue and visual-driven and it still not feel drawn out and long, it's amazing. It's not done again. It's not done anymore.
You know, I've heard people say that even the first one is style over substance, which I would disagree with. I think the substance, I said this in my review of Blade Runner, is superior to the style. It might be hard to make that argument for this one because this is a beautiful film. I mean, the cinematography, Roger Deakins, who is a legend, nominated for 13 Oscars, hasn't won. If he doesn't win this year, I don't know what to say anymore. The silhouettes, the color palettes.
I was going to throw it to the score. Your favorite guy, Hans Zimmer.
You know what? Hans Zimmer fucking sucks, dude. No, I'm kidding. They kind of sprinkled in the original theme. The original score for Blade Runner by Vangelis it's like the soundtrack for the future. It feels like the theme song for androids and technology. And it really puts you in that world without seeing anything. Just hearing the score and you automatically think of the future. They kind of sprinkled it in with this new score, but I thought it was a good score. Good score.
I know, because I just know you're a big fan of Hans Zimmer.
Well, I love Hans Zimmer. He's fantastic. Bong! Not a lot of bongs. Not a lot of bongs. But like you said with the acting, Ryan Gosling's character, I think that character, the way he played him was terrific. Like you said, it's a very subtle performance. It's built on emotion, not necessarily... The dialogue was great, but there are a lot of moments where nobody's speaking, where it's a physical performance.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Ryan Gosling was fantastic, and the scene that stuck out to me was the one with the doctor who's in charge of creating the memories for the replicants. It just shows, like, I guess later we'll get into some of the themes, but I felt like at that moment when he wanted to be something more than he was, this whole life was basically predicated on him knowing he's a replicant and his memories are fake, and at that moment he feels like he's something more than that, and the emotion from both characters in that particular point gave me chills.
When they announced that he was going to be in the film and the first trailer released, I thought, okay, this is the Harrison Ford character for a new generation. He's just going to be the badass Blade Runner. His arc in this film reminded me very much of Rachel's arc in the first film, where they're trying to figure out who they are. They have all these memories implanted in them, but they're unsure about their own identity and purpose and desires. They're trying to figure out who they are in this world. To me, he was more Rachel than he was Deckard.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That kind of took me by surprise because I wasn't really, like I said, I just recently watched the first one, so I wasn't following along the build-up for this film. I didn't know he was going to be a replicant until I saw that scene. I don't know.
Right, and that's very early in the movie where they just say...
The first scene, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say it bothered me, but it was an interesting choice. I thought he was going to be the human perspective.
It was a little off because I was like, oh, well, okay. Not necessarily I didn't want to root for a replicant, but I just thought it was just an interesting protagonist choice for it to be a replicant, not the mystery surrounding the previous film with is Deckard a replicant or not.
Yeah, you can't really redo that. And I thought,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I thought that would have been.
not going into spoilers yet, but the things that they introduced in this world, the fact that they expanded on the themes of the first one, to me was handled very well. But for the performances, I mean, Ryan Gosling, great performance as the lead. Dave Bautista, he's in the movie in the first scene. It's a brief performance, but
Hell of an introduction to the movie.
Harrison Ford, the way that they introduced that character, he's also not in the movie for that long.
The first half he wasn't in. That was interesting as well.
I would say it's almost towards the end of the second act and the beginning of the third is when he first appears.
Yeah.
To me, the best performance is Sylvia Hoeks as Love, the android Love, who works for Jared Leto's Wallace. To me, it's interesting because you kind of said that it's not necessarily a plotless movie, but it's not your typical way to tell a story.
Yeah, I was kind of worried, like, when we first seen the trailers with Jared Leto, I felt like, all right, Jared Leto's the bad guy. Ryan Gosling's the cop trying to take him down, and it's going to be one of those movies. But it's so different than that. It touches on so many different themes. And
it's way more complex than bad guy, good guy.
I fucking love when movies do that.
Yeah. And speaking about
it's refreshing.
Love, if there is one villain in this movie, it could be Love.
Oh, yeah, she's frightening.
It's a very interesting character because what drove her to that madness? To be so vicious against Ryan Gosling's character, Officer K.
Well, I think you see at the end when she says, I'm the best one, she feels that she is superior. Jared Leto's character is sort of the god of the new replicants, and he wants to be the new god. Kind of like in Westworld, where Ford wanted to bring in the next step in the evolutionary. Jared Leto's character kind of had the same motivations with him being the godly figure. And Love, I felt that she was
like the prodigal son.
Yes.
Basically Roy Beatty, what Roy Beatty was to Tyrell. And there was a great moment between Deckard and Wallace where Deckard asks him if he has any children, and Wallace says, yes, I have millions. That's very true. He is like the Dr. Ford of the new replicants.
And I think Jared Leto did a great job. I actually would have wanted more Jared Leto in the movie. I don't know why people hate him so much.
No, I think he's a good actor. I mean, I was just watching Requiem for a Dream a couple weeks ago, and he's great in that. I'm somebody who defends his performance in Suicide Squad. I think he's a good actor. And in this movie, he's not in it a lot, but I love the way that they use the eyes, how he had the Bluetooth in his neck, and he had all the little eyes dancing around. What was great about this movie too is the way it felt like the same old Los Angeles, California from the first Blade Runner, but the technology has advanced.
But it didn't feel like, I know some movies when you do a time jump as far as like real time, they kind of up the technology where it doesn't really fit. Like Alien, I feel like did that too.
Yeah.
This, they still use some of the old technology in this movie, so it made it more of like a realistic transition to the new technology, like it advanced over this 20 years that we're missing.
Yes.
Where it wasn't in this world, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they did have that weaker technology in 2019.
One of the technological advancements that they introduced in this film is the fact that now robots have robots. That the replicants even have their own AIs in the form of Joy, which to me, that has to be a perverted inside joke acronym. The scene when he has that intimate moment with Joy, that was freaky, man. That's where the film really expanded my mind to things that I've never thought about from a philosophical, existential standpoint. Honestly, how is this working right now?
That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It really made you think. I mean, you can argue about artificial intelligence and whether they're human or not. And then with the replicants, they're more human than I think any AI we've seen on screen. But then you see that they have their own AI.
Yeah, it's like the AI for the AI. It's just taking that argument even deeper.
So they have their own AI feeling the same thing we are about them.
The relationship between Officer K and Joy, I don't want to say it didn't feel real to me, but it felt like Joy wasn't a person.
No, exactly. But
yeah.
I felt like it was more of a...
That it wasn't there yet. Even in that scene where it looked like she was having a drop in frames, there was a frame rate drop, that she was kind of lagging, that she couldn't sync with the real person, that she would never be that palpable physical presence like another replicant or a human.
I mean, by the way, that looked fucking...
Yeah, the way they shot that.
That was fantastic, how it wasn't syncing all the way.
The fact that there's probably millions of Joys in the world. It's like an iPhone. The way that Apple just introduces a new iPhone, it's a new Joy every year.
Well, you see when he looks at the big billboard that
right.
I think he has in his facial expression that he kind of seems that they're all around. Like Joy wasn't special to him, that it's just basically a computer program, like I guess. And kind of like Her from Her.
Right, yeah, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the relationship in Her.
Because when you're a replicant in this world, you kind of feel lost and you don't really have anyone. So I don't know if that's specifically designed for replicants to make them feel, I guess, more human. But I think that's what it gave to Kay's character, a sense of humanity where he has a significant other, I guess, to go home to and to spend time with and connect with. Where I feel replicants in this world, especially a Blade Runner replicant, has trouble connecting with other replicants in this world.
Because now they have different models, which model is allowed to live on Earth, which isn't. Their relationship does kind of mirror Deckard and Rachel from the original movie, that Deckard is looking for that somebody to spend his life with. It's also interesting to think about how everything has become artificial in this world. I mentioned that in the original Blade Runner 2, that it's so rare to see a real organic animal. Officer K has the conversation with the prostitute, and she shows him the picture of a tree, and she says, "Oh, I've never even seen a tree before in my life." And he's like, "Yeah, it's dead." You just don't see anything organic or natural anymore in these worlds, and they become so valuable. It's really like diamonds or gold. It's a rare substance to find something that's real, but then there's the question of what is real? What do you consider real?
It's kind of frightening if you think about it. Yeah, but I just always even from the first one, even though, some people have a hard time going back 30 years and watching a movie where the effects are, not up to today's standards. In the first Blade Runner, the way they built the world and how it felt lived-in, dirty, gritty, in a futuristic sense was one of the best parts of the movie. And I think they bring that right back, and you get thrown right back into this overpopulated, disgusting, futuristic world.
All right, so let's talk about the big spoiler. The child. The procreation, the theme of replicants and humans, or is Deckard a replicant, having kids. I thought that was amazing. I did not see that coming for this movie, that it was going to be about that replicants, do they have a soul now because they can procreate? I thought that was really interesting.
The whole movie, or Ryan Gosling's character, was basically a red herring for
right, yeah.
the whole movie, and I thought that was fantastic.
That was depressing too, man. I felt so fucking bad for him.
Oh my God.
I was like, I hope he's the chosen one.
But it would have been too obvious, I felt like.
Yeah, they did a good job of that.
They kind of tried to make it so obvious where you knew it couldn't be that obvious.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I do love that. It's kind of I guess not devalues Kay's character, but he's very insignificant as far as the greater story.
Yeah, oh yeah. But that's when he has that the speech with the leader of the replicant freedom fighters, that he says, dying for a cause you believe in is the most human thing that you can do. And the twist to, bring it back to the memory doctor, the fact that she said that her parents put her in this bubble because she was sick when she was 8 years old, that she couldn't interact with the outside world. There's an extremely clever plan by her parents to conceal her true identity to the world. And that final shot when Deckard puts his hand on the wall, that artificial wall that Robin Wright's character talks about being knocked down, metaphorically, and a very strange ending for a movie like this.
I loved it.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. It really it leaves it a little open-ended, but I kind of hope they don't make another movie, because I think that's just a perfect, ambiguous ending. The best part about, I think, the revelation of Kay not being, I guess, the son, the chosen one, or whatever you want to call him. Throughout the movie, you feel like how he struggles with who he is. Is he real? There's a scene where he looks at his hand, and you kind of can tell, like, he's thinking about, what is he? I mean, I could see my hand, I'm real, but what am I really? I guess he's trying to feel like he's just more than just a replicant. And then when he starts his investigations to trying to find the baby that was born, and then he realizes that it's me, because we find out later that the dream doctor put her memories into him, and he was like the I guess her clone.
Yeah, he was basically a decoy.
And so he feels like he's significant, and like he's more than just a replicant, like he's human now. And then that all just gets taken away from him. And
well, the line he says to Deckard at the end when he says, "Go meet your daughter, all the best memories belong to her." He did die for something that he believed in. It's tragic. When you take somebody's memories, if you were to clone somebody with the same exact memories, same exact personalities, and then you kill off the original, is that person really dead? And that's basically what Kay was. He was just a copy, a decoy, a clone of the true chosen one, the child that was born from a replicant and a human, or maybe two replicants.
They just don't want to tell us, huh?
No, they kind of hinted at it. Well,
I think so now. I didn't think so at the end of the first Blade Runner, but after this one, I'll say he's a replicant.
Wallace says that Rachel was designed, but first of all, credit to Tyrell, because he cracked the code of replicant procreation. I mean, that's pretty big. It's pretty monumental in the field of clones and AI. He hints that Rachel was manufactured to fall in love with Deckard the whole time, that it wasn't a natural relationship. To me, I feel like when you still watch Blade Runner, the original, and I'm going to have to go back and probably watch it soon, the relationship still feels real to me. I don't know if it really was manufactured.
I'm not sure about that, but I think the biggest hints towards Deckard being a replicant is obviously the scene with Jared Leto when he's explaining that to him, and then he's in a nuclear environment and he's able to...
Right, in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's able to survive there. When Love comes with her goons, I guess, the rest of them are...
The squad.
they're all wearing like some kind of apparatus around their mouth.
Yeah,
Looked
the
like
only
they're
ones
all
who
wearing
aren't.
masks, and all the other ones who aren't were replicants.
Yeah.
They show Batista's character, Dave Batista. They show an old photo of him from, I guess, 20 years ago, showing that he ages and replicants can age.
Yes.
So that explains how Harrison Ford was young and now is old. And replicants are organic, so it makes sense for them to age anyway.
Yeah, I think it's still ambiguous. It's still up for interpretation. You can make up your own mind with the way that they ended this film. Once again, it's a very subtle movie like the original. So what would you give it overall?
Definitely a 10.
10?
Hard 10.
10 out of 10. Hard 10?
Hard 10.
Best movie of the year?
So far, yes.
It's a dime.